one reason you would ever buy a Miata? Because you can't afford an S2000, let's be real. Alright, all jokes aside, I'm here to tell you guys today how you can have an S2000 for the price of a fairly crappy Miata. As some of you guys might already know, I take my car up to Rogue Motorsports in Northern California. He's an S2000 specialist, and he's worked on plenty of track prepped S2000s and street prepped S2000s in the past. And I trust him with my car. I mean, he's been around S2000s for quite a while. He has a track prepped AP1, but recently he actually purchased this 2000 model year AP1 S2000, and this is basically his loaner car. So actually, if you have an S2000 and you bring it up to him, he will 9 times out of 10 actually be able to provide you with this car as a loaner. But here's where it gets crazy. This car has 237,475 original miles on it. That is the highest mileage S2000 I have personally ever seen. Definitely the highest mileage one I've ever driven. But I want to talk to you guys about how Mario bought this car for an insanely low price. Had a lot of problems with it, but he's slowly built it up into a very reasonable daily driver. Now, of course, this car is bone stock. He bought this car with 233,000 original miles, and he bought it for the ridiculously low price of $2,300. You'd be hard-pressed to find a working Miata for $2,300. That being said, the car did have a lot of issues with it, so let me run down the extensive list of all the problems he had to address. So like I said, the car was purchased for $2,300, $200 for registration. It had a moldy soft top, a stripped cylinder 2 spark plug hole, expired tags, bent wheels with mismatched all-season tires from 2011, completely blown shocks, busted motor mounts, cracked windshield, torn compliance bushings. The windows wouldn't roll down, either one of them. The bumper and fender were both primered and looked like crap. It had a broken passenger side headlight, foggy headlights, moldy carpet, a trashed interior, a bad timing chain tensioner making a ton of noise, and all in all, this car was a piece of That's how he picked it up for $2,300, but the car ran, and he knew that, you know, since he is an S2000 specialist, he would be able to work on the car, bring it back up to reasonable driving condition. Even if you're not an S2000 specialist, if you're willing to get your hands dirty and willing to be patient and search on Craigslist and other places for used parts, you can actually get a pretty damn clean S2000 for under $5,000. So let me go through what Mario has actually done to this car. He purchased a brand new soft top assembly from a 2006 S2000 for $160, low mileage 2000 model year AP1 shocks for free. He transferred the 2000 model year coil springs off of his black S2000, just leftover parts from his car that he already prepped for the track with coilovers. Purchased a silver passenger side fender, a silver bumper to replace the primered parts, so that totaled $260. Passenger side headlight for $180. Full rear interior for $50, which he has not installed in the car yet. Super clean AP1 wheels with tires for $300. Brand new Honda compliance bushings for free. AP1 exhaust for $30. Driver's side carpet for $60. Oil change with Honda filter for $60. Transmission fluid for $20. Brand new windshield for $250. He polished the hazy headlights for $40. New motor mounts from a low mileage AP2 for $75. He got a kit to repair the stripped spark plug hole on the cylinder head for $200. So if you do the math, that totals $1,695 of maintenance. So let's just say $1,700 of maintenance, out of which $500 was pretty much for cosmetics. So all in all, if you do the math, he spent less than $5,000 to bring this S2000 into its current condition. And I've got to say, it drives pretty damn good. The interior is pretty clean. The exterior could use some work, but honestly, it does not look like a 237,000 mile car. The car does still have some issues. For example, the engine does burn quite a bit of oil when you rev it up above 6,000, like in the VTEC range basically. That's actually a pretty common issue among AP1 S2000s, which is the 2000 and 2003 model years. But overall, the engine pulls pretty strong. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's making the full brand new 240 horsepower, but it's not too far off from what I can tell. And it still hits VTEC and it still pulls hard. probably not going to want to track it or autocross it too much, but kind of as a daily driver or occasional canyon car, this car actually is a lot of fun. And in fact, at the autocross last year, I autocrossed a bone stock 2002 S2000 with pretty crappy tires, and that thing was so much fun. I mean, I was pretty much drifting around every corner. The tiny little 205 section front tires, 225 section rear tires. The car doesn't have a lot of grip, but you can really play with that rear end since it is an AP1. It does have more of a twitchy handling characteristic, and the ass end just comes out at the touch of a throttle. The only other issues that I've seen from driving this car for a couple days, the transmission definitely is a little bit on the stiffer side. It doesn't shift quite as smoothly as my AP1 with half the miles. And it does occasionally grind when I shift from second to third gear at high revs or if I try to speed shift it. But I mean, I can drive around that as long as I take my time with the 2-3 shift like that. I mean, it's absolutely fine. Also, the rear rotors I think are warped and need replacing soon, because when I do brake pretty hard, I do feel a slight vibration coming from the back of the car. Not a big problem. You can buy a set of rear rotors for this car for probably less than $70 or so. And the one other issue I can tell so far is that actually off throttle, I can hear the rear differential making kind of a almost like a scraping noise. But as an everyday driver S2000, this car is fantastic for under $5,000. Of course, Mario did pretty much all the maintenance himself, and really anyone with access to a few tools and the willingness to kind of dig around online on the forums, s2ki.com, and look up some DIY tutorials, you can pretty much do everything that Mario has done to this car. Nothing is really that crazy of an install. It's not like he had to rebuild the entire engine, although he is planning to do that at some point, and he is also planning to repaint this car to new Formula Red, which is one of the original colors offered with this S2000. Besides that, everything else is pretty doable. At the end of the day, for less than $5,000, you're driving one of the best cars Honda has ever produced, in my very not so humble opinion, of course, me being a Honda fanboy and having owned 2 of these cars. But just to put it in perspective, what other cars can you buy for $5,000, let's say, on Craigslist? A first or second gen Miata, but then you're dealing with roughly half the power, even more cramped interior, 100% less VTEC. Whether it's lap times or daily driving, I think the S2000 is quite a notch above the Miata in pretty much every way. I'm sure I'm offending a lot of you Miata fanboys out there. Look, I don't dislike the Miata. I think it is a great car, especially for the money, until Mario told me how much he paid for this car. That being said, it's not going to be easy to find a car like this, right? I mean, how many 200,000 plus mile S2000s are even out there to begin with? Not that many. And then how many of them, being a Honda and being so reliable, how many of them are going to be super neglected like this one and therefore asking such a low purchase price? Even fewer. But if you're patient, if you look around Craigslist, I'm sure you can find one of these for probably $5 or $6 grand. And at that price, you're probably not going to have to do as much maintenance as Mario's actually done to this one. So the point is, you can have an S2000 for, let's say, well under 10 grand if you do your homework and you're willing to tinker a little bit with a wrench. So if any of you guys up here in NorCal would like to experience or at least check out this high mileage S2000 and talk to Mario about everything that he's done to it and how he found it, hit him up. I will include his Instagram page in the video description. Like I said, he's also a great S2000 mechanic, and he's worked on a few other Hondas before, like Civics and whatnot. So shout out to Mario for prepping my S2000 time and time again for the track. I'm getting some work done to it right now, so it's getting a roll bar put in. It got a new O2 sensor, a new MAF sensor, new spark plugs, which hopefully will fix the oil and fuel burning issues I've been having, and it really just makes my life so much easier when he's able to provide a loaner like this S2000. So what do you guys think? Is it worth it to buy a super high mileage S2000 like this for dirt cheap and then kind of take the risk of it having not the healthiest engine? Or do you think it would be better to just buy a Miata for the same price that's already in good condition? What other cars can you buy out there for this price? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will see you guys next time.